My dad, we were actually on a plane and he had an umbilical hernia that got strangulated, for which he had to be emergency kind of taken to the hospital. And of course that night was, very, very scary for me, because I had never seen the one person who's the most strongest person he's like my hero. He kind of feeling or looking vulnerable, feeling weak and not feeling good.
3 seconds kid, I got a call from my dad that he's got thankfully stage 0 cancer, and that was like very difficult for me because मेरी पहली फिल्म थी, तो मुझे तो पता ही नहीं कि कोप कैसे करना है कि पापा का ये फोन आया है, and now I have to go and give a shot which is supposed to be a comedy scene.
And even when we left Comedy Nights with Kapil and we were approached by a lot of channels, everyone wanted us to do a similar kind of show with the cast which had left.
I mean, when we left the show and there was the entire cast left with us, but it never felt like, oh my god, we've left, now what? Yeah, that was our show, that will be our show.
That is our show. But we moved on.
Fear and anxiety, if not expressed or not given a let out, the repression of that can lead to it physically manifesting itself, and for some people mentally manifesting itself. That typecast actually happens because of success. It doesn't happen because of
absolutely
failure.
it happens.
I think this is golden what you said,
Yeah.
because essentially none of us understand.
When I watched the trailer of Aakhri Sach, a lot of my questions seemed answered, and I'm pretty sure that will be the case with most people who had questions regarding the incident. And I had 2 of my friends making their foray with 2 people who are extremely talented and part of the project. So welcoming the entire team, finally the entire team of Aakhri Sach in conversation with me only on Bollywood Bubble. Thank you guys. First of all, thank you for doing this.
Thank you. Thank you for coming.
And not at all. वो तो हमारा काम है, क्या करें अब? I will first, like you spoke in the last interview, we were just discussing, Neeti and I, that I actually, you remember we spoke about a November story, and I felt that it's almost in the same space, not content-wise, but it's very, it's in the crime thriller space. Do you sometimes feel, like Tamannaah, I feel that a lot of people, a lot of emphasis is always given on how you look, on the beauty part of it, but sometimes you feel that it takes away from art or what you stand for as an artist?
See, it is a visual medium, so there are certain characters that you need to sometimes look a certain way for. But I also feel like looks are only, I think they only are, the utility is only to a point. When you're playing a character beyond a point, it's the performance and it's everything else that kind of takes people into the show or into whatever piece of content that there is. So I have never really obsessed about looks or that I need to look perfect or I need to look a certain way when I come on screen. I have to just look the part.
Yeah.
I remember when I, be it Aakhri Sach or many films that I've done in the past, there was a certain amount of physical transformation that was required. And, starting from Bubbly Bouncer, where it was, the role of a bouncer, I think I always kept kind of physically also becoming whatever that part was. So for me, what's essential is to become that, and you can use the way you look itself as a medium to communicate a certain aspect of the character. In the case of Aakhri Sach, fortunately, neither Robbie nor me or the producers or anybody emphasized that this is a female cop and she needs to be, a certain way, very, very strong, or very, has to have some kind of an androgynous, very strong androgynous presence. That wasn't required. She's, a modern day girl who happens to be a cop. She could have been in any other profession had she chosen differently. But she is making choices every day, and the choices that she's making is going to have consequences. And she has to bear the brunt of whatever those consequences are. And constantly fighting her demons. But yet kind of staying focused on what the case is, because that is the larger goal for her.
Absolutely.
So this is what for me Aakhri Sach has been, and playing Anya has been. So it's very I think once people switch on, and I think me and Preeti have always discussed, when we've seen cops that are women outside, there sometimes in India we've seen them with chuda, we've seen them with lipstick and makeup, and and I think somewhere a cinematic presentation has been a bit of it has kind of confused us as to what reality is. Of course, here it is a work of fiction, so we are not trying to claim this is anything, but the fact remains this is our understanding and our perception of the story that we are trying to tell, and we think that this is how Anya would look and be.
You know, the best part is that today we are living in a society. If you know that today they don't want people to call actress anymore. It has to be a female actor, male actor. It has to be a male cop, female cop. And there are changes that are happening because no profession can ever have a gender. You know, the society has to be gender biased and gender neutral for the society to progress. And I feel we are living that, and that's actually what you also have tried to show in the film. In the series. I want to ask you that this also talks about a deeper thing. You know, it's also about mental health and anxiety. Few years down the line, if celebrities would come out and speak about it, they would be shunned, and they also had the fear of being shunned, so they wouldn't speak about it. Today, at least, people are more accepting. Do you agree? And has there ever been phases where you felt that maybe you are going through an emotional turmoil or a mental low? We'll start with you.
Yeah, so we all go through it, and we've spoken about this before also, that your support system has to be really strong. But apart from that, you should also be able to tell yourself that this is going really in a bad place. I could go in a very dark place if I stay here, or I keep feeding on these thoughts. Yeah. So I need to get out, and then you distract yourself with something which could be in the positive way or the negative way. At that point in time, I don't think you can judge what's right or what's wrong if you're going through something very deep, what we've shown in the series as well. A certain kind of loss in life can lead you to maybe make the wrong choices based on what society feels is wrong. Maybe based on what you are feeling internally, it could be correct. So yeah, we all go through that, and I think the more it's spoken about, the better it is. Absolutely. And with the OTT market opening up and people educating themselves so much about this, and celebrities talking about it so openly, I think that we are in a very good space, and things will change. It won't happen overnight, but I think eventually it will.
Absolutely. What about you, Neeti? Have you ever faced those phases in life?
Yeah, of course, like everyone else. And I was just listening to Tamannaah talk some time back, and as she very rightly said, that this show aims to normalize and humanize these emotions that all of us go through, right? It's not age related, profession related, or anything of that
or
sort.
Gender related.
Absolutely. So what really helps is your support system, and that's what. And I have personally been very lucky because we work together. So we are sisters and we work together. My family's been like that. So whenever we've had our downs, we've normalized it, and we're like, okay, we're feeling like this. And what do we do about this?
After all of this, they're so normal. They expected कि ये कुछ कहीं किसी कोने में रोते फिरते रहेंगे, but they get very surprised कि how are they so normal? You pick up the pieces and you walk.
Yeah. So we've been lucky like that.
Yeah, but that's because we express it. We don't keep it inside. So
yeah. What about you, Abhishek?
I mean, as an actor, I think it's very important for me to have a very strong mental endurance levels, because that's the thing that we might be like that, and plus I think things might be falling apart in your personal life, but when you're in front of camera, you have to do your job and do it convincingly, and I think that is the most tough part for an actor to maintain that balance.
Has that ever happened to you?
Bilkul. Or I think 3 seconds kid, I got a call from my dad that he's got thankfully stage 0 cancer, and that was like very difficult for me because मेरी पहली फिल्म थी, तो मुझे तो पता ही नहीं कि कोप कैसे करना है कि पापा का ये फोन आया है, and now I have to go and give a shot which is supposed to be a comedy scene, and I have to do comedy there, and I have to improvise and forget about my father for that whatever little amount of time. But then it happened, and that's the thing. And then with each, thank God, of course, he got well and everything is okay now. But for me, that was a very important learning in my first film. कि मुझे समझ में आ गया कि अच्छा कुछ भी हो, you have to keep your mind like really strong so that you can fight, of course, the odds of the industry, but also the personal situations or issues you're going through.
There has to be a balance, and it's difficult to balance as artists. What about you? Have you ever faced that kind of a situation in life?
I kind of got reminded when Abhishek spoke. I had a similar incident where my dad we were actually on a plane, and he had an umbilical hernia that got strangulated, for which he had to be emergency kind of taken to the hospital, and the operation had to happen, this, that. And of course, that night was, very, very scary for me, because I had never seen the one person who's the most strongest person he's like my hero. He kind of feeling or looking vulnerable, feeling weak and not feeling good. And the danger that was around that. So right after that, I dealt with the situation. I was in the hospital. I did whatever I needed to. And I think I made the mistake of not processing it. And I just went back. I was like, I don't want to sit at home, or I don't want to chill. I want to just get back to work. And I did go back to work, and I was sick on the set. And so the only thing that I learned from that experience is that fear and anxiety, if not expressed or not given a let out,
True.
The repression of that can lead to it physically manifesting itself, and for some people mentally manifesting itself. So the importance is to let it out and experience it and fully process it. And for different people, the way of doing it might be different, but to do it is essential. So yeah, I think that really was a learning lesson for me. And when I got onto Aakhri Sach, it also made me realize how sometimes we're judgmental of people and we box them into good and bad because of the actions that they take, but not understanding that sometimes
They would
people
have the reasons.
only work from their understanding of things. So it's so important that the information that people give to each other, especially in a big family or in a joint family, is positive and supportive of each other, because sometimes that really is the reason why you might take some very, very big decisions of your life simply because you're not motivated to take the right decision.
It's not an easy show to put up,
Yeah.
I was sitting with them when they were planning this.
Wow.
When they were planning to
What are
get
the odds?
both of you.
What are the
And excuse me, I was also very pro both of you. They will tell you that.
Yeah.
When we did that interview and this
Yeah.
story was not even, I told you that I know what you're doing. So I just feel that there's that side to both of you, which people, of course, Hathora Tyagi is something else, but I feel that there's that side which they have noticed, which the world will notice once it comes out. Do you feel that sometimes as an artist, you feel that hunger ki, why we have so much in us as actors to show, but why is it that we are not getting the right people to come and motivate us? When you talk about motivation, it's a motivation, right? To get offered a part like this, which means that they're believing in you. Do you feel that sometimes industry also boxes you in a way?
No, I think it's not the industry boxing you. It's actually you who is boxing yourself. And often it's really easy to blame this one and that one for what doesn't happen to you, because that's what people do. It didn't happen to me because of this one. It didn't happen to me because of that one. I feel like the moment you start looking at yourself differently, that starts to become so apparent to other people that they just can't not see it. And so I think essentially for an artist, it is important to persist with whatever your vision for yourself is, because it's impossible to shun out other people.
Yeah.
You cannot stop other people from talking. You can't stop other people from reacting. The only thing that is consistent is the conversation you have with yourself and the narrative that you want to put out. So, I mean, as much as work as you do in the industry, you have to keep harping on what you think of yourself. And I feel like, I think it's actually a great time for artists to be around, or creators of any kind to be around, because now is a time where we are seen and heard like never before, and the number of platforms that are available to put out what we want to put out are ample. So I'm very, very, very thankful for Disney Plus Hotstar to actually have something like Aakhri Sach, because it is we're still trying to put things in. We're trying to say big things in an entertaining format, right? At the end, why do we want people to consume it in long format? Because it hooks people. It lets people experience that through a visual medium. So yeah, it's these platforms that is actually helping us to tell these stories.
Coming to the platform, it's important because when you were planning this project, I have known and seen how difficult it could be for you guys to put this together. Of course, from a very personal point of view, but do you feel that, like, when we talk about boxing, the industry eventually boxes with labels like you're a TV producer. The industry eventually boxes you with, oh, you created Comedy Nights with Kapil. Oh, you come with that kind of an adage that there are so many things written about you, which people don't even know that could affect you. How do you deal with that? And then putting this together, does it take a lot of courage? Does it take a lot of guts to do it?
No, it's a job you've chosen to do. And if every day you think it's going to be a battle, then it's going to be tiring for you to do it. It's your job.
Yeah.
You get up in the morning and like any other job, a doctor, even if he has a tough surgery to do, he's going to do it, right? Because it's his job, he's skilled to do it. We are skilled with experience to do content. And we have been typecast because certain projects have been successful. And maybe if we would have had this opportunity earlier, though we didn't have that opportunity, we were also very busy doing what we were doing. It's successful, it's making money. Why spoil a good thing going, right? But when God puts you in a situation where you have to do more than what you had been doing, you do it. What else can you do? You can't sit at home and keep harping about the past, right? You need to move on and say, yeah, ye karenge.
But Nayan, I think what you said is actually golden. That typecast actually happens because of success. It
correct.
doesn't
Yes.
happen because of failure.
Absolutely, it happens.
I think
because
this
of
is
success.
golden what you said,
Yeah.
because essentially none of us understand why. I mean, that's to begin with a great point to start, because you're actually successful doing something that
Correct.
people think that you should be doing more
Only
of it.
that,
Correct,
yeah.
correct.
But the thing is, you don't want to do more of it. And
Because see, certain projects are magic and then they happen. And even when we left Comedy Nights with Kapil and we were approached by a lot of channels, everyone wanted us to do a similar kind of show with the cast which had left. And obviously, in the pressure of running a company, you do end up doing some of those projects and then you realize, no, a certain kind of magic happened because a certain group of people came together and the time was right. But if you keep trying to replicate what you have done, you're not going to be successful. You have to somewhere forget that success and then move on and say, let me start and maybe this will be as big and this will be as satisfying for me
True.
as the previous project.
But both of you, does it become difficult at a point ki when you've created a show like Comedy Nights with Kapil, because you are behind the screen, when the good happens, you don't get so much of credit, okay? But when the bad happens, there's a lot of backlash with your names. Did that ever bother you? Because that was your foray also. Like it was almost like the first time. Did that
When we were
bother you?
doing the show, nothing bad happened.
Nothing happened.
The show was doing very well.
And I don't know how, I mean, when we left the show and there was the entire cast left with us. So,
Most of the entire
most of them, the entire cast left with us, who mattered basically. But it never felt like, oh my God, we've left now, what? I don't think that
Let's
happened.
group together, let's
Yeah.
do something. Even now, sometimes some random person will call up and say, I have a concept which is bigger than Comedy Nights. I just shut that person down saying, who
Yeah.
told you I want to do something like
Yeah,
that?
that was our show, that will be our show.
That is our
because,
show.
True.
But
Yeah.
we moved on. So that's the beauty of life. One has to accept it. And backlash, see, I feel the producers or the directors don't get so much backlash. If a project is the actors, they are the face. We are people who put it together, right? We get our 2 bits when these interviews happen or the promotion happens, right?
When we
Otherwise-
force you guys to sit
yeah,
also,
yes,
sometimes.
sometimes, yes. But it always, and I've heard that from Tamannaah also many times. It is always there. It always comes on them. So we have to give them the best we can because we're also responsible for them. Nobody's going to say, oh, Preeti-Neeti का show था ना, उसमें ऐसा होता है, या निखिल नंदा का show था, ऐसा होता नहीं, से तमन्ना का show था, अभिषेक का show था, क्या किया? So our responsibility is towards them and towards the platform. It's
But
not towards
honestly-
us.
But honestly, when I see the trailer, I'm not talking as a friend, I'm talking as an audience. I actually called you and told
You're
you this.
talking
And
as
I
a
told
friend.
you also this, that I loved the trailer. I want to know, much like everybody who wants to know. I'm pretty sure when I watch it, I watch everything as an audience. Everybody's a critic today. I don't need to be. But I feel that as an audience, if it excites me, I will watch it. And I want those questions answered. And I feel that you guys have killed it. Thank you for doing this.
thank you, Nayan.
And may you keep getting scripts like this, and may Hotstar and all other platforms keep backing people like all of you as artists and as producers. That's all.
Thank you.
Sonal,
Thank you.
Sonal.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nayan.